Good morning, everybody. Stephanie Forbes here with Forbes Consult. I just really kind of wanted to talk this morning about, identifying who you have working within your office, and making them stronger than what they currently are. Everyone can be better. Everyone has the ability and capacity to be stronger and better at what they do. And that's anybody, right? I recall a conversation that I had with Keenan Next, and he's probably like it was the most iconic one of the most iconic conversations I've had in my career, and it was so short. Um, at the time, I was working till like I think I was working till like midnight, and then I came back at 4 a.m. to get started again. And so I saw him working in his Adidas tracksuit. He was there till midnight working on a case, and then I remember seeing all I go by, Attorney Nix, and then I leave, and then I come back, and at 4 a.m. and I see him there still, and I'm like, he never went home. So I said, I'm like, oh wow, sir, you never went home. And the most passionate voice I could have ever heard, he says, why should I sleep? I am one person who has been gifted. I'm the only person who's able to bring this person justice. And he's like, and I'm not going to go home until I do. He's like, I'm the only one who can do this, and I'm going to do it. It was so short, and that was like the most, like, it was iconic for me. Because I was like, I never thought of myself as being the only one that had this God given gift to do something. And I just, that conversation at the time, it kind of, I was like, wow, that was intense for him. But later on, as I remembered the discussion, I said, wow, that's true. For years, I always thought I'm the best in this business, and not because of just sheer skill, but just I have great skill at what I do. But it wasn't just that. It's just that I had a passion. I have a passion and I have this empathy level that I can connect with people. And then on top of that, I have like the ability and the want to work hard, and it doesn't feel like hard work because I love it. I could be in the office for 14 hours in a day and don't feel like I'm in an office because I'm loving what I do. So it came a point where I was like, I can help so many other people get to where I am. All they have to do is to be trained and and to know what it is that I do and how I look at things, and I can teach them. Very very soon thereafter, I realized that I did a test, right? Kind of a testing group where I had a person, right, who didn't have any knowledge, didn't seem to have, like, in my opinion, the skill, but had passion, and they had the want and the will to just go in and I want to do this. Then I had other people who they had the capacity, they had like the professionalism, they had the book knowledge, but they just didn't really care. You could tell they didn't really care, they weren't connected. And then another person who was just like, you know, sometimes I have passion, it's on and off. And then sometimes, and I understand everything that you're saying. I have the capacity to learn and to get it, but then I just don't really want to do it though. I don't really want to do it. I realized that in order to make a successful case manager, you have to have the knowledge isn't important to me because you can teach anyone anything, you know. But one thing you can't pass up on, right, in this industry is going to be care, the empathy, the passion. You can't you can't give that up. If I see a case manager who they just know what to do. They know how to case value. They know how to do this. They just know, but they're just jerks. They're mean. They're rude. They are like just They're creating discord in your law firm. Um, you got at that point, you can't allow yourself to be. Another attorney said, I feel like I'm held hostage. I had an attorney say to me, I feel like I'm held hostage because, I feel like, these people, they know that they have the knowledge and that we can't get rid of them. And I'm like, no, that's the mistake that they found. Because I would hire someone with with more customer service ability, and I would hire a person with those passion and that will to just, I'm gonna learn this and I'm gonna get it. I would rather hire a person with that than a person with knowledge. And I think that a lot of firms, they do want a person to hit the ground running. I think that's fair. But for longevity purposes and for the enrichment of your firm, what matters the most, especially if you plan to be around for the next 10, 15, 20 years, is that attitude of grit, the attitude of, I'm gonna learn this. This is not gonna beat me, but then also I'm passionate and I care, because that person who cares is going to look at an MRI and they're going to see a 22-year-old person with a herniated disc in their L4, L5, L3, L4, or their cervical spine, and they're going to feel some kind of way about that. This person was just hit by a car, their car is totaled, and they have these herniations, annular tears, they have a stenosis, they have these things on their MRI, and is it okay, and you think it's okay to just send out a demand letter? They have enough money in their policy limits. It could be $1 million. Most people pay attention when it's $1 million, but let's say it's 250,000 in limits, and you're willing to now I get it. The arguments a lot of times are, the client doesn't want to do it, and the client this and that. I remember one time, like, I heard an attorney say, I don't care who it is on the phone. If a person says they don't want to do this, get me on the phone. And 10 times out of 10, really it's probably 9 out of 10, they're going to move forward on my recommendation. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a doctor. You're not a doctor. No one's a doctor. But if the doctor is recommending certain things to be done, and there's enough money to have that person do it, and all the ingredients is there, why not sit? If the client doesn't, a lot of times the reason why a client doesn't want to do something is because of misinformation, lack of knowledge. We want to sit down and we want to have a conversation. If that person's 22 years old and he's saying no, I'm gonna ask for his mother and be like, can your mom come in here with the meeting with us, and we sit down and talk? Because what I'm gonna do during that meeting is I'm gonna tell them everything. I'm gonna tell them everything that I'm seeing from the MRI, and 9 times out of 10 they're gonna say, "Oh, wow, the doctor said the same thing." I'm like, "Yeah, the doctor recommended that you get a discectomy. That's what the doctor's recommending." And did you go to the doctor and ask him what the procedure was like, and ask him, to show you an example? You know, I get to the point where if you are scared for COVID, Zoom call. The moment you don't care or have passion towards the persons that are calling you on the phone and asking for your help is the moment you lose. Because what happens is, you could call the number scheme if you want, but if you care and you have passion, the money is just going to come. The money is just going to come. So here we go. This is what I do. You come in there and you ask me, this may not be your exact back, but I will show a client. I'll show a client this. And I'll say, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. And I'll give them the explanation of jelly donut. Of like, if you ever squish down a jelly donut, that information, that stuff in there, that fecal sac, it's not going back inside. It's a permanent injury. It's very rare. I think one time on a slide, Sean Mahan showed of a person in 20 years later, their their um their herniated disc did shrink down. He's like, that was the first time in my career I've seen that. This is not often. A lot of times, I mean, 99.9% these things are permanent. And even in a situation where you have like a stenosis and the person doesn't feel pain, their spinal column, it liquidates. That's a permanent injury. Just because you don't feel the pain, but then you're telling me that my spinal column liquidated because your body is trying to heal itself. Could you imagine walking around one day and all of a sudden, oh shoot, it's not funny, but can you imagine that happening? That's crazy. And it's because your body is trying to learn a different way to walk or a different way to move because of a permanent injury. That knowledge, and I truly believe that sometimes some case managers, they will become more caring and more passionate with more knowledge. So I offer the more knowledge. But when I see that after that knowledge has been given, the person is still kind of like, nah, that's when I get concerned. Because at that point, I'm like, okay, a lot of times it's like blissful ignorance, you don't know. So but if you know, and then you still feel that that's where I feel that it's going to be important that if you do take on your own hiring, you don't choose me, that's fine. But I choose based on a couple of different things. I look for passion of what they do. I look for um, whether this person, plans to be a longevity type of person. Um, and knowledge is great, but I'm looking for a person who's going to make you and your law firm stand out from the rest. It's great to say that, your firm makes this amount of money, this amount of money, this amount of money. I don't know what that is comparison of. You can show me a settlement of 260,000 and say, oh, we got our client this, but I don't know if that could have been worth $1 million. I just see what you post. So if you are at the head and you have a calling to do a career path or build a career path that is beyond everyone in your field, but then you have people underneath you that are sabotaging that success, then you have to reevaluate your structure. Um, and a lot of times it's going to start with training. It's going to start with equipping people with knowledge. If you equip people with knowledge, they're going to be able to run that race for you. And that's why I'm here. I go to firms, I equip people with the knowledge. I'm not a doctor, but I do provide the knowledge that I do have, and I'm hoping to partner up with, radiologists, and I currently partner with doctors in the industry to where we can do lunch and learns with law firms. Um, but the goal is to get people with that right knowledge. Now, if you have the knowledge and you're equipped with it, but then you are not following through because of laziness, of just not wanting to, or just whatever it is. If it's just a job for you, you have to reevaluate who you have there. I knew a guy who was great at what he did. Oh man, this guy was just great. He worked at a payroll company. He understood all the equations, all the score benefits, and all the fringe benefits, and how to calculate 401k, and when that goes to how to do IRA. He understood everything, how everything worked together, and he could kind of warp your payroll as a company into the best thing to maximize profits for your employees and everything. But he was mean. He was mean. And everyone's met a person like that in a career path, whether it's a DMV, whether it's a teacher at school, whether whoever it is. They're just angry and they're nasty and they're mean, and you're just like, ugh, but they're great at what they do. And people, and you see it all over the industries, any industry. And they get away with murder because they're just really good at their job. But those people, in my opinion, haven't found what they really want to do. You can be great at one thing, but if you don't have the love and passion and drive to do it, then you can't. I don't want you. You could be the best case manager, paralegal ever. But if people are firing you because your person has an attitude problem and you're just like, oh, that's not paralegal, they just, they're just rude, or they might be good with customers, but they're not good with your employees in your office, that's an issue too. Because then they're making productivity go down, or they're making people they're infecting people with venom. I knew I one time I was in a business where this one girl, one, she was okay. She was good. She was a superstar. She was good, but she had a way of just making everyone feel miserable at work. And the person, one of the managers, refused to let her go. And I was like, this girl is going to bring down your business. Kept her on. The other staff left. They left, and then new staff came in, and she just gossiping and just doing all kinds of stuff. And it brought down the business again because those new people who had the fresh mind to work and go get it, they were infected again with this information that they didn't need to know. Things that just brought them into to looking at the boss differently, looking at the company differently, and not having respect for upper management because they're like, oh, so and so did such and such, or so such and such, and it just none of that is necessary for the business. Um, and once that person left the company, it was insanity how much productivity had gone up. Because what happened was the other two people that was infected ended up having to go as well. But then they were replaced by a whole group of people, and it was insane the amount of productivity that came out of that situation. And the people that came in didn't have knowledge. The knowledge wasn't there. They were trained and they were able to come in. And although it may have taken maybe 3 months to get the full picture of like how everything worked, I can guarantee those people will probably be there for the next 10 years and make a lot more money than a knowledgeable person in that seat who maybe would have stayed there for 3 years and went to the next job would have paid them more. Because that's what people do now. They go to a job and they're like, oh, I know I'm the best. Pay me, pay me. And then they leave you within 3 years for something else that's more money. And then now you're stuck because you're like, oh man, I put all my eggs in this basket and now they're gone. Don't do that. Create a systematic training situation. I provide one, and bring that person in to train their staff as you get new staff. And I guarantee you, after that initial training and learning, you may have to do some more spot training over the years, like more training on MRIs, more training on how to do certain things. But after you do that, really all you have to do at that point is just auditing cases and making sure that they're doing what they were trained on. And I guarantee you will see a shift in your profits as a company. So anyways, that was long, but it was necessary. So I want you guys to understand fully about the strategy behind the new wave. We have a new wave of attorneys that's coming out, and every single office can be as profitable as the next. And what's really going to set law firms apart in the future is going to be their managing partner trying cases. If you have the people in house that are with your vision, great. At one point, at one firm that had 36 case managers, I would say 20 of them did not believe in the direction the company was going in. And it was sad. It was sad. They were complaining, they were bickering, they were da 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 da. And it's sad when you don't believe in what management or what the owners want. Because at the end of the day, if you're not in alignment with that, If it don't fit, you gotta get them out, man. You have to save your legacy of your company. It's important. So, I'm saying all this to say, start with training. Start with giving them information that's needed for them to grow in their capacity in their job. And then after training, after that, then get really into, making sure you're recognizing people. We'll get into that later on. But training is going to be one of the major aspects of the survival of the personal injury law firms in the future. Making sure that they have your knowledge, what's in your mind, and how cases should work, and maybe you're not fully aware. But why reinvent the wheel? I have seen the insides of countless law firms, although I can't talk about that because of the fact that I'm on NDAs with all of them. I can get sued big time. But in terms of not necessarily the knowledge, but just understanding that there should be there is a winning strategy. There's a winning way of efficiency, and having that knowledge puts you on the same playing field. So, not reinventing the wheel of something that's already great. So, knowing where to start, and then taking your knowledge and your expertise as an attorney and going and soaring to the sky. I remember the look where they were saying, yeah, well, you know what I mean. So I'll stop there. Um, but just know that everyone can start on the same starting point. You don't have to start back here when this other firm is here. They already understand what needs to happen. Your knowledge could be here and their knowledge is here, but since they have the strategy, since they know what to do, they're passing you. But you're better. But you're better than they are. Why are they up here and you're back here? It's because they have systems in place. They have strategies in place. They have they have they know what they have a program and it's working. So why do you have to figure that out? You don't. You don't have to figure that out. I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you get from here to here, right? To where you can be here, or you can just pass them. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that separates you from the largest law firms around the country in America is their systems and their reportings and how they are able to make their firm efficient. Efficiency is what matters. KPIs, how to measure your case managers, that's what matters. You can't win without knowing the metrics or how to measure someone's success. You can't. You have to know, okay, wow, this person got out one demand last month. That's not great. How much are you making in fees per month? Have a benchmark. You have to have these metrics in place. If you don't, you're never going to be striving at anything. You're just going to be like, oh, well, I pay my bills every month. I know that everything gets paid. You have to have a goal and then be disappointed when you don't reach it. You know what I mean? Just make a good goal, an attainable one, but still a good one, and get there. And then next, get another one, and do them monthly. If you have a year, you're like, I want to make. If you're a law firm and you're a pre-suit department, you have let's say you have 3 case managers, 4 case managers. Let's say 4 case managers. You have 4 case managers in your pre-suit department. I'm not talking about litigation right now. I'm just talking about pre-suit. And let's say your goal per 3 people, in my opinion, right? So let's say for 4 people, your goal should be, I think it should be around 3 million or 3.5 million. Okay, let's say let's say your goal per case manager per year is 3.5 million. Not per case manager, but for 4 case managers. So out of those 4 case managers, you want, and this is not even discussing litigation. It's not even touching on what you can make in lit filing suit. So your pre-suit department, 4 case managers divided by 4, three. That is 3.5 million divided by 4. So your goal, what you want, is your case managers to say, hey, they need to be making a piece 875 roughly. Now you may have one person that's just killing them, and that person might bring in by themselves a million point two, and if they do, great. But you still want that overall goal to be 3.5, right? Let's say you want a more attainable goal, like you don't want to start off with 3.5 for 4 case managers. You want to say, okay, I'll just do 3 million. Say I want 3 million. I have 4 case managers. I want to at least do 3 million for 4. So if you do 3 million and you have it for 4 case managers, that's 750,000 a year. I think that's really easy. I think that's very attainable. I think that's extremely attainable. I mean, I've made over 400,000 in a month by myself. I've had help, honestly, with me working with hand in hand with another person, and getting records and bills and things of that nature. I was able to get 750 in fees at one law firm, but I had 250 cases. Um, so that's attainable. That's possible. Now, some of those cases were already gearing up for settlement. Going out for demand and all that stuff like 8 months prior. You know what I mean? So, but this is possible if you're doing your if you're doing things right, if you are working up your cases in the right way, if you're having actual metrics lined up, and if you have goals, and I can help you gauge what is realistic in this field based on where you live, based on your state, based on your city, based on all that, based on how many cases you have, looking at your inventory and looking at what's available there. I can help give you some attainable goals. When I tell attorneys that they could be at 100,000 a month as long as they have more than 140 cases in their inventory. They're like, really? Yeah, really, really. But it's like the goals that I give, you can obtain them, but you're working from the moment you walk in to the moment you leave. You have a lunch break, and then it's these are not goals where it's like you can spend 3 hours a day just chilling at work and then use the rest of the hours. No, these are when you walk in, you are being productive from the moment you walk in to the moment you leave every day. And that's how you obtain these types of goals. And the only way you can get a person in your law firm who's willing to work like that, it's not like they're slaving for you, but but you have a goal and there's passion behind it. It doesn't feel like work to those people. They have to have passion. They have to connect with the clients. This has to be something that they want to do. And if it is, working like that isn't going to bother them because it's going to be enjoyment. It's going to be like, I want to help this person. I want to help Suzanne, who has 4 kids at home, who just got her car completely totaled and can't afford a new car right now. And she's doing everything that she can, catching the bus to get to these doctor's appointments and getting her children sorted out. I want to be there for her. That's the kind of person you want on your team. Not a person who's like, oh, you mean that file number 4236? Oh, yeah, the demand should be out in approximately 2 months. It appears that, they need to do this and do that, and they'll be fine. You don't want that person. You want a person who knows your clients. When it's time to negotiate, they can pull out stuff about that client. I remember, and I'll end it with this. I had a case once where I was emotionally invested because it was a 6-year-old child at the time. No, I think the child was 5 or 6. But injured, got injured, and really badly. And got the adjuster on the phone, and the adjuster and the hospital bills were like the doctor bills were like $30,000. the adjuster, now at the time the demand was $1 million demand. At the time, the firm always did policy limit demands. They never reduced their demands, to be more acceptable to what it is. Um, and so the adjuster felt like disrespected in a way because they're like, oh, this is not worth $1 million. So they kind of shot us with a $15,000 offer. I got on the phone. I was just annoyed. I was just pissed. A woman adjuster answers the phone, and I'm just like, so you think that this is okay? And she's like, well, yeah. I mean, you sent a $1 million demand. So I'm just like, okay, well, do you have any kids? I have four. Okay. If this happened to your kid, how would you feel if you got this offer? Well, that's not what we're discussing. Well, it's an honest question. Well, and she said some crap, some BS. And I was like, look, this is extremely unacceptable. Regardless of how you felt about my initial demand, this offer is a slap in this mother's face. I'm gonna allow you to reevaluate this and get back to me in a week. I got a call within like less than 24 hours with a new offer of $51,000 as an initial offer. Sometimes you just gotta call BS, and you have to connect with your clients. My passion and my hurt for that client didn't even allow me to even accept what this woman was saying. And then I tried to bring the adjuster to life. Like, you're looking at claim numbers and you're leaving for the day, but you're a mother. And what if this happened to your kid? So, you want someone on your staff who feels that kind of way towards your clients. And the knowledge can come over time. But having a person who connects empathy, passion, and having the grit to want to be there and work and do for you, that is something that you cannot teach. I would rather teach someone something than having someone there who knows but doesn't want to connect, to have passion, to have empathy, and to have good customer service. So, anyways, I'm going to end with that, and until next time.